Good day everyone, I am Mark Anthony B. Reyes from MPE20. In this video, I'll do activity number 3 which is to discuss to you my detailed lesson plan. So let's start. So this is my lesson plan. So as you can see, it has 10 pages. And for the first phase of my lesson plan, you can see here the subject, the year level, the topic, the name, date, and length of period. And when we say length of period, this is the duration of your teaching time in a schedule or in your meeting during the class. Yeah. So next to that is the objectives. So objectives, here you can see the expected outcomes that your students will gain throughout the lessons. Next naman, we have to put the subject matter. Yeah, when it comes to subject matter, here you can see the topic, the subtopic, the reference, and the materials. When we say topic, so this is the lesson that you will discuss. And when we say subtopic, so this is more on more literal or more specific topic that you will discuss throughout the lesson. Reference naman, this is where you get the information, the knowledge that you will teach to your students. And next is the materials. When we say materials, these are the things that you will use throughout the lessons. These are the materials, the gadgets, yeah, and the things that you will use to educate your student, to teach your student rather. Okay. Next to that, we have the procedure. So procedure is the third phase of the lesson plan, of detailed lesson plan. So here you will put the detailed things that you will do during the class. So in procedure, you will put here the preliminary activities. So, wherein, ano ba makikita natin sa preliminary activities? So, first, we have the greetings. Next is the prayer. And, of course, there will be a virtual class management. So, virtual class management is for online learning and for online learning. So, syempre, yung mga nilalaman din nun is about online learning. So, after the preliminary activities, ayan, we will move on to the review of past lessons. So when we say review of past lessons, this you will be going back to the last topic or the last lessons. You will discuss it again to sure or to make sure that your students learn from your previous discussion. Ayan, so in procedure, you have to put in the other side or as you can see in the right side, you will put here the expected response of the students. Yeah. So as you can see, put here the students activity. So will put here the expected response that your students will give you during the discussion. It's either the preliminary activities or even the proper discussion itself. Okay. So we're done with the review of past lesson. Let us now move on to the motivation. Here in motivation, you will do a activity that will lift up and motivate or boost the confidence of the students before the lesson. And you will lighten up their mind to get ready for the discussion. So your motivation should motivate the students, of course. Yan. So it must be interesting and new to them para hindi sila maboring during the discussion. And of course, it must be knowledgeable. May matutunan dapat sila. So here in my motivation, I choose the game Odd One Out. Ayan. So first, of course, you will introduce the game to introduce the instruction and introduce the procedure on how this game was being done. Ayan, so as you can see, it is more on detail, di ba? Napaka-detalye niya. You will put here also the script or the general script of your lesson kung paano mo siya ituturo sa estudyante mo. Ayan. So next, we are going to move on with the lesson proper. So here in lesson proper, it contains the contents of your discussion. Nandito na nakalagay yung mga ituturo mo sa mga estudyante mo. Ayan, so that is what you can see in the lesson proper, the discussion of the lesson. Ayan, so as you can see, on the left side, the knowledge, the information, and on the right side, the response of the students. Ayan. So these are the knowledge or the information that you will give your students. Yeah, so there's a lot of them. Ayan. So after the discussion, we will move on to the application. Of course, to make sure that your students learned, we have to do a application of their knowledge the knowledge that they attained. Ayan. So in application, I made a activity. So actually I made two activities in this lesson. So for the first activity, I called it Move It, Move It. Ayan. So okay, take note, put more catchy titles of your activity to catch the attention of the students. Ayan, for activity 2, I called it DIY or do it yourself. So it is more catchy naman para maging interesado yung mga estudyante mo. Okay, next we have the generalization. Ayan, we have to put the general content of your lesson plan. Yan, dito nakalagay kung the teacher will give the gist of the discussion. When we say gist, this is the summary of the discussion. I-summarize niya in the short detail, di ba? Para mas mapaiksi. And of course, there will be also the question and answer. The teacher will ask the students about the knowledge they gain about the discussion of the lesson. Yeah, so if none, then of course, the teacher will make sure na wala nang tanong yung mga estudyante niya or classification or clarification rather. Ayan, so of course, hindi pa yan matatapos ang lahat. In our activity number 2, which is the DIY, it is a performance based, so there will be a rubrics to be used in this activity. So this is the rubrics that I made. Ayan. For this, the rubrics for activity 2 or DIY, do it yourself. Ayan. So in these rubrics, I put accuracy, physical presence, creativity, and timeliness. So let's discuss it one by one. When we say accuracy, this is where the movements of the practitioner will be scored or graded. So for the 5 points, the practitioner should execute all the movements properly with mastery. Andyan dapat yung mastery niya. And for the 4, executed at least half of the movements. Ayan, hindi lahat na execute ng tama ng estudyante. And for the third, executed less than 2. Ayan, bilang lamang yung mga tamang na i-execute ng estudyante. And for the least scored, 2 did not execute any of the movement properly. Ayan, they did not even know or they did not even learn any of the movement. So that's how will I grade them when it comes in movement. So next is the physical presence. Yan. The physical presence for 5 points, the students employs proper posture, relax and confident and maintains appropriate audience contact. So it is important to have a confident when you are performing. When you have, it's important also to have a proper posture, diba? It will looks like a professional if you have the proper posture to do the activity or the performance. And lastly, syempre, of course, you have to have a appropriate contact with the audience. Hindi ibig sabihin na video performance lang siya, hindi mo na ibibilang yung contacts with the watcher or the audience, yung manunood, syempre. So for the 4 points, syempre, the student's presentation is lacking in one of the elements in their criteria. Ayan. The grade of the students will be decreased if one of the elements of the criteria is gone or missing. And for the third score, the student's presentation lacking two or more criteria. Ayan. So for the least score naman, the student's lunches looks uncomfortable and makes no effective contact with the audience at all. Ayan. So that's what makes a least grade at all. And next, of course, in creativity, and every student must possess creative thinking. You have to think more deeply, more passionate, more creative when it comes in doing your activity. Eh, hindi lang siya basta ginawa. You have to put effort in it. So when it comes to effort, it relies on physical and mental effort, of course. The output of the students shows remarkable creativity and undeniable skill in editing. Ayan. So given the fact that it is video, so you must adhere a good editing skills to it. You must put a creativity when it comes in editing. And remarkable activity, how will you present it? How will you perform it? So that must include in creativities. But for 4 points, the output of the students employ one of the elements in the criteria. And you put creativity in it, but it lacks in editing skills, that you will get 4 points. Yeah. For 3 points, the output of the students did not employ any of the elements in the criteria. Yan. Walang na-pick na walang naipakita. Ayan. Pero kita naman medyo may effort naman, then it will give you 3 points. Lastly, for the 2 points or for the least score, the students did not show any interest at all in the performance. Ayan, ito yung mga gawa ng mga bata na may mapasa lamang. Ayan, yun lamang, ganyan lamang. Ayan. So that will be given a 2 points. Mahahalata mo naman yun. Next, timeliness. Yan. So in time it is a very simple one to grade with. You will get 5 points if you submitted your output on or before the deadline, diba? And you will get 4 points when you submitted it one day after the deadline, diba? Naging ka ng isang araw, then you will get 4 points. Submitted 2 days after the deadline, yan. Na-miss ka ng 2 days, then you will get 3 points. And lastly, submitted 3 days after the deadline or 3 or more days submitted the deadline, then you will get 2 points. But if you submit it for 1 week, then you will never get any points. You will be minus 0, of course, di ba? Nag-grade, di ba? Napaka-unfair naman yung sa ibang estudyante. So, that is all for this video. I hope you find this video knowledgeable and interesting. Thank you and God bless everyone.